Hey, good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. I got up this morning just a little while ago, and I read an article, and I guess my video channel is for everybody. Everybody who's interested in preparedness in all its forms. Whether yellow, black, or white. It really doesn't matter to me. But I think really this one is probably more. This particular video is probably more directed at blacks and Hispanics in America. I read an article today, and somebody posted a letter that his child or children brought home from school, and it was in Indiana. But I have two kids who are teachers, and the school Common Core and all that. I sort of understand it. There are national standards and national movements in education, and it's all pretty much the same. And so they brought home a letter, and it said basically we had target goals that we were shooting for, and this school failed to meet one of its goals by like half a percentage point, right? But we're just letting you know, and we're taking steps to correct it. I do know this from my two children, adult children who are teachers, that they're pressured as teachers to achieve these goals. I think there's probably money tied to it or something, but the schools have to achieve these goals. And in this letter that this guy posted online, it said they only talked about one standard, and white students were supposed to achieve like an 80, I wrote it down here, an 87% in English. And in fact, the white students in this school only achieved an 86.51, right? So they're like less than half a percentage point away. And be assured we're going to take steps to blah, 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 fix this. And, this person went off on a mini little rant and said, how come the white kids are expected to uphold the scores of everybody else? Wow. That's a really weird way of looking at it, to my mind. It's almost a communist way of looking at things. I heard a thing one time that said, if from an American capitalistic standpoint, if you see your neighbor has 3 cows, and you don't have any, you think to yourself, wow, how can I get 3 cows? And if a communist sees that the neighbor has 3 cows and they don't have any, they're like, I need to figure out a way to have somebody take away his 3 cows. See, totally different thought process. So somebody else went and did some research, and they posted the standards. And so here's the deal. They do it by ethnic group. I really don't have a problem with that. It's statistics. And so they're looking at, hey, our black students typically score this, our Hispanic students score this, our Asians, our whites, and then therefore it's all goal-oriented, right? I'm a goal-oriented guy. I recommend it to you. Look where you're at, set a goal, and achieve that goal. And then now set a new goal, right? And we keep improving. And take running. I'm doing this series on physical fitness. If somebody's already running a sub-4 marathon, and then somebody else is just starting and cannot even run for 20 minutes, how can we set the same goal for both of them, right? It just doesn't make sense, right? We can't say, all right, we want you both to run a sub-3.5 marathon. You're going to leave the one person in the dirt, literally. And so you have to do things. And I don't have a problem with race. I don't have a chip on my shoulder about race. But check this out. So they have 2 standards, or 2 categories. One's English and the other's math, okay? And so for Asian students, they want them to achieve an 87, this is the goal now, an 87%, so that's what, a high B, I guess, 87 in English and a 91 in math. This is the goal for the Asian students. And then for the white students, it's an 87 in English, same goal, and an 89 in math. So we don't have as high of expectations of our white students as our Asian students. All right, so we got 87 and 91 and 87 and 89. High B's, really, for both of them, right? Now drop down, Hispanic students. 76 in English. I can kind of almost understand that if they have a lot of illegal aliens or undocumented migrant workers, or whatever the term is, right? People who are just coming here who don't speak English at home. Whereas we want the Asians and the whites to get an 87%, we only expect a 76% out of them for a goal because they're still learning English. I can kind of get that. But you know what? Math is math. Math doesn't change. And whereas they want the Asians to get a 91, the whites to get an 89, for Hispanics they want a 78. Okay, now comes the sad, disturbing part to me. Blacks. Blacks, our goal, this is where we'd really like them to get this good, for blacks is a 66 in English. Isn't that a D? I'm pretty sure that's a D. And a 65 in math. So whereas we want the Asians to get an 87 in English and a 91 in math, we're only expecting the blacks to get a 66 and a 65. Here's the thing, expectations, right? I learned something in special operations that if you take what's generally a good person and you set the bar high for them and encourage them to reach that bar, they can reach that bar. You can get amazing results out of people if you set the bar high. By the same standard, if you set your bar low, that's what they're going to achieve. If I was a black parent, I would be outraged. It's like, what, you're setting the standard for my kid to get a D? You want your kids to get Ds? Really? I mean, I don't think any good parent wants their children to get Ds. Here's the other reality. It's all part of the system. They're trying to train your kids to be good little drones, whether, Asian, white, Hispanic, or black. They want to be able to leave school and plug them into the system with all the right, correct thought processes and everything. Y'all need to homeschool. You really do. We homeschooled our 3 kids up through about middle school, a slightly different year for each kid. Homeschooling takes 3 hours a day. About 3 hours a day is what my wife would spend. And I say we, like I had a whole lot to do with it. I was just the standard guy. These are the standards you guys are going to maintain in homeschool, and don't give your mom lip. But my wife spent about 3 hours a day homeschooling them. And when my kids went into the public school, because we didn't really have a religious reason for homeschooling them then, we just wanted our kids to get a good education, and the best way to do that is to homeschool them. When we put our kids in school, at the school district they went to, they rank order every kid in the class. So every kid in the 8th grade class is rank ordered from 1 to however many kids there are, which is kind of harsh, if you're always the last kid, but they do it. Excuse me. And my children, praise Yah, were always ranked number 1 from 8th grade all the way through. And all 3 of them graduated valedictorian. All 3 of them got awesome scholarships to the university. Why is that? I'm convinced it's because of the time and effort my wife put into them, homeschooling them. And my wife is not a rocket scientist. You've seen her in some videos. She's a normal woman. And what I'm saying is, like I say, if I can do it, you can do it. If she can do it, y'all can do it. Nobody cares about your kids like you do. Nobody knows your kids like you do, when to give a kid a break, when to push a kid harder. And certainly, if you are Hispanic or black, they don't care about your kids. If they're setting a standard, a goal in the 60s for your child to achieve, are you kidding me? That's disgusting. Boy, that's what I'd be mad about. If I was black or Hispanic, you're only setting the goal for this. So what if my kid gets that? You quit giving them any extra attention, huh? Because they've already achieved the goal, and now I got to go on to this Asian student who's only getting a 90 in math, and we got to help them. But my kid's got a, whatever it was, 66, 67 in math, and so you're just going to leave my kid alone? Education is important. You have to know how to read and write and do math, and you can teach your children that better than anybody else. Homeschool. All right, I'll see you out there.